Hi everyone, today I'm going to be discussing Henry Fayol's 14 Principles of Management and how I think they tie in to Mary Parker Follett's leadership theory of power with versus power over for a successful manager-subordinate relationship. I'm going to be speaking on this topic more from the standpoint of working in the public sector and how these theories have contributed to my experiences. Looking at Henry Fayol's 14 Principles of Management, in my opinion, they can easily be divided into what I believe to be successful principles and principles that I think need work. First, we will talk about what is successful and utilized, then what principles need some work to be successful, and finally, how do these tie into Follett's leadership theory. I'm going to focus a little more closely on those that I believe need work because I think they will require a bit more explanation. I've seen the following principles used successfully being applied and experienced from both the management and the subordinate side. As you can see, there are a number of working principles. That leaves us with the 4 principles that I believe carry a different interpretation in today's working environment or might need some adjusting. First is the division of work. I've worked in a number of environments where employees are specialized or rather pigeonholed into one specific area. I think the broad concept of division of labor makes sense, but to take this concept and apply it across the board to every department or position within an organization is just not realistic. We live in a time and a space where having a specific skill is required, but being adaptable to changing situations and work tasks is what is desired. Second is the unity of command. This is one of those principles that I feel needs to be updated with the times. Working in the governmental and public affairs department in my organization, we see time and time again that while we have one direct supervisor, we have a number of managers, whether it's a board member, the lead on a project, a manager for a program. This concept just needs to be broadened a bit. Then we have centralization, referring to the decision-making process and a balance of employee input. While Fayol's theory pushes to strike a balance, in practice, I feel that you cannot have enough input. When it comes to decision-making itself, I think that needs to be up to the manager. However, employees need to be made to feel comfortable with being part of the process, even though all of their feedback may not always be applied. And finally, stability of tenure. In today's day and age, managers should not be striving to minimize employee turnover, but should be doing succession planning. With the way millennials bounce from job to job, constantly looking for what fits their particular situation, it's important for managers to ensure the stability of their team instead of the individual, in a sense of maintaining historical knowledge, best practices. These 14 principles, both successful and those that need a little bit of work or a new interpretation, all work together to promote Mary Follett's theory of leadership. When you look at Fayol's 14 Principles of Management, many of them talk about supervisor, manager, equity, and the like. All key components of a power together mentality that Follett talked about. I thought this little comic was a perfect representation of Follett's theory, not only from a manager and subordinate level, but also taking into consideration that the leadership theory doesn't just have to stop there. There have been many times where I have been the lead on a project or a program, and managers from other departments have looked to me for direction, even though I was not necessarily higher up on the totem pole than they were. So when you look at these two theorists, though they may have different theories on the broader spectrum, each of their theories could easily support one another. In closing, I think I will leave you with this. Even though the early theorists and even today's management analyzers think they have it all figured out, management is constantly evolving. The public sector is more and more trying to do business like the private sector, trying to stay relevant and efficient. There are organizational structures and hierarchies and all different kinds of leadership styles. Our public system has many different environments and quote-unquote corporate cultures, and we are all just puzzle pieces trying to see where we fit.